the most ghoulish celebration on the calendar, Halloween has long evolved to become the sugar-loaded spookfest that we know today. However, its origins lie in the Celtic festival of Samhain, celebrated by the pagan Celts, who lived in modern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, and parts of Europe over 2,000 years ago. Many of the Halloween traditions we celebrate today evolved during more recent centuries, alongside the spread of Christianity in the West. Nevertheless, while documentary evidence is a little sparse, it looks like many of these older traditions can trace their roots back further still to the Celts. Here are 10 Celtic Samhain traditions that appear to live on in the way we celebrate Halloween today. Number 10. Waiting for the darkness. Most Halloween fun tends to take place under cover of darkness. From trick-or-treating to costume parties, the majority of our traditions occur at night. An emphasis on the supernatural significance of darkness was central to the Celtic festival of Samhain. The name Samhain itself means summer's end in the Gaelic language of the Celts, but it also refers to the Celtic spiritual figure of the same name. Samhain was known in Celtic mythology as the lord of the winter time when the world became cloaked in darkness. Each year, as summer drew to a close, he would engage in a 6-month battle of light versus dark with the sun god Baal. Number 9. Celebrating the fall. Just like today, Samhain was celebrated from October 31st until November 1st, and marked the halfway point of fall. In fact, it took place exactly midway between the fall equinox and the winter solstice, which was the time of year when the all-important harvest was gathered. Number 8. All that partying. Along with New Year's Eve, Halloween is probably one of the biggest party nights of the year. People of pretty much any age will usually receive an invitation or two to a Halloween shindig. The Celts liked a good party too, and Samhain was one of their biggest festivals. They may even have partied harder than us, as early texts indicate that it was a mandatory celebration that could last up to 3 days. Some documents even mention an absolute excess of drinking and gluttonous eating, which doesn't sound all that different from the celebrations of today. Number 7. Some familiar scary faces. One of the scariest mythological figures was, however, one that still terrifies us today, the Headless Horseman. Known as the Dullahan to the Celts, the horseman was said to be the embodiment of the fertility god Cromdub. He was said to demand blood sacrifice in the form of decapitation and was described as having a face of decayed flesh. Not the most attractive of gods, but at least he would make for a great Halloween costume. Number 6. Dressing up. Although donning a scary costume to go trick-or-treating has obvious ties with the medieval custom of mumming or souling and quat, its practice appears to go back even further. Given that the Celts believed that spirits could cross over during Samhain, they held the suspicion that ghosts and ghouls might try to trick, haunt, or curse them. In order to prevent this, they would often dress up as monsters themselves to fool the evil spirits. Number 5. Carving pumpkins. That familiar orange glow burning from a toothy jack-o'-lantern may trace its roots back to the Celts as well. Some historians believe the tradition of carving heads out of root vegetables may harken back to pagan customs of head veneration. Number 4. Orange and black. Stroll around any neighborhood during the Halloween season, and there can be little doubt that the holiday has a very specific color theme: orange and black. From banners to napkins and candle holders, homes are awash with the distinctive color palette. For the Celts, the color black represented the darkness of the winter months that Samhain would usher in. It also held significance as a symbol of death, both in terms of the deceased spirits who would mingle with the living during the festival, as well as the death of nature as winter drew near. Number 3. Trick-or-treating. Both the tricking and the treating aspects of this quintessential Halloween tradition have links to Celtic Samhain customs. The belief in evil spirits crossing over may have led not only to the Celts dressing up as monsters to trick them, but also fueled the fear that they themselves would be tricked. One particular concern centered around the belief that evil spirits might come to your door disguised as a beggar. If you refused to give them a handout, they would transform before your eyes and place a curse upon your soul. Number 2. Bobbing for apples. Dunking your head in water to fish out some apples dates back to the Celts, too, although it's unlikely that their versions were candied. With the boundaries between worlds thinned out during Samhain, the Celts believed it was the ideal time of year to tell fortunes and prophesize the future. Fruits of the harvest seem to have been the most common items used to predict someone's destiny, especially apples and nuts. Apple bobbing was one of the most popular practices, and it was believed that the first person to bite into one would be the first to marry. And number 1 is telling ghost stories. Just like Halloween celebrants today, the Celts enjoyed freaking out their friends with a terrifying story or two. The Second Battle of Magtuide seems to have been one of the most popular Samhain stories told around the festival fire. The myth tells of a great conflict that took place over the course of Samhain. It describes the final battle between the Celtic pantheon of the Tuatha De Danann and their evil tormentors, the Fobog. Another Celtic story involving Samhain, centered around the adventures of a hero named Nera. The warrior Nera was dared by a king to place a willow branch at the foot of a corpse. Accepting the task leads Nera on a journey through a strange otherworld that bordered the land of the living. Within this strange world, he has all manner of supernatural encounters. It's a tale that sounds just as exciting as some of those we hear around Halloween today. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.